Ivor Cummins, Part 2, Iron Deficiency. Self-research found the solution.
I'm sitting here every day of my life exhausted, can barely keep focus for longer than 5-10 minutes at a time, face down in PubMed, trying to figure out what is going on and link up all these crazy constellation of symptoms together. And I finally could concentrate enough that I finally, figured it out. And so the next day I had an appointment with the endocrinologist, and I had chugged iron the night before, just trying it out. Within hours, overnight, all but like 8 symptoms, something like that, had disappeared. It was incredible. And so I walked in and I said, I think I figured it out. And she says, that's good, because I have no idea. I actually handed her the paperwork to show what happens. And I said, do you want this? She said, no.
But you've the problem, and none of the specialists can tell because they're specialists. So they remind me of the elephant, the famous Chinese thing where one guy or gal has got the trunk and says it's a snake, and one's got the leg and says it's a tree, and one's got the tail and says it's a rope. That's the problem often when you get sent from specialist to specialist. Now, you also lighten your wallet enormously. And it reminds me of Michaela Peterson, Jordan Peterson's daughter. She had to go carnivore, but it was because of immune reaction to plant world proteins. And she managed to decode this, kind of analogous to you, in the middle of dreadful depression and crying fits in the shower. She managed to just pull all of what she had left together, and she eliminated everything from her diet and structured an ultra food diary. And she found that she had to go right back to just eating meat. And then it took a few weeks, and that was another problem. There was a lag. So it wasn't that she could cut out the problems and the next day feel better, like you luckily did with an injection of iron. It took a couple of weeks. And then if you took a bad food then, like you started eating tomatoes or certain grains, it could take a couple of weeks before the problem manifested. So that because there's a lag, it's very hard. You need to be ruthlessly tracking your diet. But she achieved success, revolutionized her health, clearly. And I know a load of people now all over the world. I've interviewed some. One guy had bipolar for around 20 years on multiple medications. He went low carb and keto and it kind of helped. But when he went carnivore and removed the plant world proteins that were the thing causing him the problem, he dropped all the meds under guidance within weeks and the bipolar was gone. And he said it was like walking out of a 20-year prison, like literally into a sunny landscape. He was crying during the interview when he told me the story.
Q&A. What is an elimination diet? It is a procedure used to identify foods that cause an adverse effect on the body or the mind. In Michaela Peterson's case, she found that a meat-only diet was what finally met her needs. Lisa was exhausted, had her face down in PubMed doing research, trying to figure out what her condition was. She says, I finally did figure it out, and I chugged a bunch of iron. Overnight, all but 8 symptoms had disappeared. The doctor did not want my research findings. Ivor says, being sent from specialist to specialist is kind of like the story of the blind people examining an elephant, each person seeing a very different thing, and no one seeing the complete animal. He says, it reminds me of Michaela Peterson, Jordan's daughter, who had severe immune reaction to plant world proteins. She managed to overcome them by eliminating everything from her diet except meat and then structuring an ultra food diary. There was a lag for the things that she tried. It took a couple of weeks to see if they worked. For example, if you ate a bad food, it would take time to show. She had to ruthlessly track her diet during this period. She achieved success and revolutionized her health. Ivor tells us about one of his own interviews. One guy had bipolar for 20 years. He went low carb and keto, but that didn't quite do it. When he went carnivore, he removed all plant proteins. He was able to drop all of his meds under supervision within weeks. And he said, it was like walking out of prison.